All right, Mummy, say what I said.
Yes. My name is Janet Lloyd. And my name is Adina Rose, aka Adina Rose. When I saw the police accost a youth, he's a brown, high skin color guy, and he was enclosed by about 5 police to 6 police with another police car drove up just when I was passing by. Now, I heard they were surrounding the guy so he could never run anywhere, and the young man was not wearing a hoodie, the young man was not wearing a hat, the young man was not wearing a long shirt over his pants. So when they keep asking him for a gun and his pants wasn't long enough for them not to see that he doesn't have a gun. So when they keep asking him for a gun, I was concerned. So I walked by and one of the policemen were standing before the guy as close as about a foot and saying, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" And I walked by, there was another police jeep that drove up at the scene. And that's police manner, but I could never expect that they would shoot the man, because there was no sign. I passed here. Okay. I passed by here, right here.
Welcome to True Jamaica Buzz, news and entertainment with a buzz. The video that you just saw is of a lady giving her account of what she experienced, what she saw. Some sorts of confrontation with a group of police and one person that was in the middle. The lady told you she could not believe after what she saw, this man was pretty much stripped down. Nowhere he could have had any sorts of tool. But the popo was steadily asking, "Where is the gun? Where is the gun?" She then heard some sorts of pie sound, and the rest is history. Here are the facts. This lady does not know that man from Adams. It is not her son. It is not her family member, just a concerned citizen. INDECOM has the same sorts of concern for what they deem to be excessive amount of extrajudicial takeaway, conflicts, controversy, based on what persons were on the scene are saying and based on what the popo report stated. Conflicting, polar opposite, 180 degrees. Now I know that person are going to say, leave the police, make the police do them job. But ask yourself this question. Had that been your son, your relative, would you still feel the same way? And I understand that Jamaica is in a very dire strait right now, desperate situation, and we always say desperate times calls for desperate measure. However, the fact, if we are thinking logically, we cannot just use one broad brush to paint everybody. It is injustice. Fast forward last Saturday morning to be specific, conflicting between 1:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock a.m. Saturday morning meaning Friday going into Saturday. 3 young men lost their life. They are 17-year-old O'Shane Stubbs. He is said to be a laborer. 20-year-old Kashan Smith, he is said to be a delivery man. And 19-year-old Abanda Campbell, known to be a car wash employee. Validated and verified, all of these 3 persons are hardworking young men. None of them are associated with any sorts of crime. Based on the information, it is said that at the intersection of Belmont and also Windward Road, based on the popo's account, the account of Mr. Campbell, the man in charge of the JCF, on that operation or that unfaithful night. He said that he saw a vehicle, pulled over the vehicle. The men decided that they did not want to stop. They intercepted them. When they intercepted them, the men came out, blazed up all sorts of can upon the police. They claimed that they found 2 tools. Those tools were Sig Sauer and also a Ruger. However, after the incident, INDECOM came out, Mr. Hugh Faulkner, the representative of INDECOM, one of the big men in INDECOM, he came out and he said, based on what we saw, based on substantial evidence that we have, CCTV camera on businesses and also on residents' house. What the police is saying, and what the people saw and what exactly took place is polar opposite. In other words, the popo, they are lying. Now, people, it is not very usual whenever any sorts of popo go on any sorts of operation that they are not going to get the benefit of the doubt, especially if the person or at least one of those persons in any case is a known gunman, gangster. It is case open, case closed, probably even closed caskets. We saw the same thing that occurred in a Hanover, in which a man known as Greedy was taken out. He was in a Voxy blue, to be specific, with a bunch of other men. Same sorts of scenario. Popo came under fire, returned fire after the smoke cleared. At least 3 of the 4 that was in that Voxy was taken out. A known gunman, Greedy, was one of those persons. We understand circumstances like those. However, in circumstance like this, these 3 young men, laborer, car wash employee, and the next delivery man, these people validated, verified that they are not involved in any sorts of stuff. So based on what the Popo said, Mr. Campbell again, he does not know the young men to be involved in any sorts of gang. However, they fit the description of persons in that vicinity that have been robbing people, coming home from work, coming from party, going to any sorts of ATM machine. Now, people, when you talk about fit the description, ask yourself the question. Most Jamaicans that you see from any sorts of garrison, don't they all look alike? And I know that that sounds very controversial, because when you're there in America as a black man, they will say, but all of them look alike. People, the facts are, that is the fact. Most persons are going to look the same. Everybody look kind of rough. Some people look toned down. Some people look like them are trouble. Some people look cool. But if you was to say somebody robbed you, and you give a description of that person, it would probably fit the description of maybe 90%, 80% of Jamaican. So therefore, you have to be specific. You can't say some people with braid, with tattoo, with hoodie, in a tight jeans, in a Clarks, Arab people. So therefore, anybody where we find fitting one of those descriptions, we are going to take them out. The facts are these: based on the camera, CCTV, there was nothing what the Popo say was true. They claim that they found two, like I told you. Based on what I am hearing from one of the parents of one of those victims, it is said that the tools in which they claim they found, that Ruger and that Sig Sauer, was used in some sort of takeaway case that was in the court from 2017. So what this tells you is that these Popo are actually riding around, or even if them take away somebody unjustly, then they have access to these tools. They can go to the police armory or wherever they keep these tools and get these evidence, GUNS, and bring them back and pin them and paste them on people. And people, that is the case in this case. So that leads me to why it is that the Popo refuse to wear any sorts of body armor. Why is it that if they know that this will either exonerate, free them, or make them guilty, why don't they want to do it? And the answer is very simple. It is because they know that a whole lot of Popo, more than we think, are out here doing all sorts of rogue-ish. So therefore, they do not want to incriminate themselves. And people, like I said, INDECOM in a report earlier this year, they stated clearly that we are concerned. There are reasons to be concerned because of the enormous amount of case in which the Popo seems to be lying, not coming 100% truthful. So therefore, they advise the JCF hierarchy to make sure, say, listen, watch these people, get the body cam, wear the body cam. But then again, people, like I said, sow the head of the stream if it is infested, as in your security minister, meaning Dr. Horace Chang, then the rest of the gang is also going to be the same, because he is facilitating, he is making them wrong and strong, he is defending them even when they are DEAD wrong, and DEAD being the operative word. So at the end of the day, I say this to say that if you have nothing to hide, if you know that you are truthful on your job, then you would probably wear that body cam. Because based on what the mother of Mr. Kishan said, he is a hard worker, so she was surprised. She's been keeping up with INDECOM. Her name is Miss Morgan. And she's very happy to hear what is going on as it pertains to the POPO officers. Based on the information that I am getting, and that is out there already, these officers, at least 2 of these officers that was involved in this pie out, they are detained based on the instruction of the POPO High Command recommendation by INDECOM. A lot of the officers that were working that night at the station, they are also on suspension. What we learn, again, very disturbing, is that not only are they in the body club whenever they do anything wrong, the other officers are there to back them up, to protect the shield, protect their squaddies, protect their body. So for all of you people that are police, yes, including myself, we want Jamaica to be a better place. And yes, we want to get rid of the menace to society, the killers out there, the extortionists, everybody that is involved in any sorts of criminal activity. But we cannot allow the police to be criminals themselves. We cannot allow police to be out here executing innocent people. Not a problem with the guilty people or people that are aligned with persons that are doing stuff and know that these persons are known criminal. In this case, everybody involved, hard workers, verified, validated, have some sorts of 9 to 5. The youths were just going out there to get some sorts of food, whether have to cook for some sorts of boat, don't know the specific. You heard the mother, Mrs. Morgan, in her tears when she did some sorts of interview saying how elated she was to know that she is getting some sorts of justice. Her son is never going to come back. However, she is glad to know that at least the persons who are responsible are going to be taken off the job, get some sorts of time and people. That is yet to be determined. We will just have to see. We know exactly how that goes when it comes to JCF members, JDF members. They always seems to beat it even when they are guilty as sin. The system always seems to favor them whenever it comes to any sorts of decision as it pertains to being guilty or innocent. Now, people, like I said, had there been body cam in this case, and this is what your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, had to say as it pertains to making the nation safer. Body cam, all sorts of CCTV, Jamaica Eye, Rete, Lele, Blue, blah, bling. Take a listen, take a look.
Billions of dollars on the technology, and I think that we have made the correct decision as to how we are moving ahead with the deployment of the technology, not for show, but for the real effective use of the technology. Because you can have cameras and they don't help because you don't have this entire ecosystem for it to be used. And so we are building out that ecosystem. And by the way, the same applies for the Jamaica Eye cameras. You can have cameras, but if they're not connected to a C5 center, meaning a joint intelligence operational center where you can bring in all the feeds and properly analyze them, it makes no sense.
So people, that was your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, stutter-stepping, giving all sorts of excuses why they are not in full effect, procrastinating like they do every time on everything. I want you to take a look at exactly what your National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, has to say as it pertains to the body cameras, and then I'll give my piece.
Public interest and individuals, and it's their right to do so on INDECOM. It's a very little value. If you get in combat with a camera in your chest, first of all, you're going to die behind it because you're being shot at. And it has, the JDF has used them before in the helmets, and they proved quite invaluable because they fell off, they got knocked off, and they have very little value in those situations. So the first person we're equipping are the PSTB formation, which is deal with the public in public art. It is of very little value. You don't need to be an expert to understand it. You put a helmet, a camera on your chest, you start shooting at somebody. First they start shooting at you, you're going to die for cover. Policemen are not in. They have helmets and vests, but they are not designed to take shots. Honest, and really, before they respond.
So, people, that is what your security minister has to say. Obviously, we know that he is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Obviously, we know that there's all sorts of criticism and controversy around his name, being that he is a security minister, but he does not have a U.S. visa because he is under watch by the U.S. for some sorts of criminal activity. He has not been convicted, however, his name has been calling up. So therefore, we should not be surprised. So people, like I said, based on experts in first world country, they see absolutely no sorts of disadvantage to wearing these body cameras, unless, of course, you don't want certain things to be uncovered. Unless, of course, you're covering up certain things. I want you to take a look to what an officer, I think, in Canada has to say when his department does not have the body camera and he was caught in a question that he could not answer. Take a look.
What do you think? Do you think you guys need body cams?
It helps sometimes, but it's also,
It's good for you and for me, in my opinion. I think any cop that's bad and does bad stuff would be against it. That's a fair assessment, right?
not necessarily.
You don't want to be held
I
accountable?
know a lot of good cops that are against it as well.
Well, for what reasons would that be, you think? Just curious.
A lot of the... I don't know, actually. That's a question.
So people, you heard what that man had to say when he was asked the burning question. What would be the disadvantage? That officer, seasoned cop, did not have anything to say. I am going to let you take a look to an interaction with an officer and a top-ranking officer, some sorts of commander in some sorts of police force in America. When he was caught drunk driving and they pulled him over and the officer had the body camera. Take a look.
You've been drinking tonight, sir.
I'm a captain on the police department.
What police department?
Oklahoma City. Please.
Huh? I'm not turning my camera off.
Okay.
So people, you saw the top-ranking police telling the other lower-rank police, turn off the camera. Let's talk off camera. Let's make a deal. So you see the advantage right there. I am going to let you take a look to a video of a man, a police officer in the United States, explaining how the video cameras or the body cameras work. Take a look.
Yeah, so the body camera is always on, but to actually activate it, to start recording it, all I would do is just press this event button twice, and it goes from ready to it shows the camera icon. It's now recording, so it's recording us. It's actually recording you because it's faced towards you. And then after that police interaction, when we're done with it, I just hold it down, a couple seconds, bang, it's saving. So that video that we just filmed is now saving. At the end of the day, upload it to the Axon Cloud, done.
And you were telling me earlier that this body cam is going to be recording anytime you have a public interaction, correct?
That's correct, except for if we, at the start of our shift, went into, again, Cumberland Farms to get a coffee. Not going to interact that. If a disturbance happens in Cumberland Farms during us getting that coffee, I'm supposed to activate it and start recording.
So people, you heard what that officer had to say. You have the option to turn it on and turn it off. I am assuming if this is even worn in a Jamaica, they are going to turn it on and turn it off when it is most convenient, whenever they are doing any sorts of wrong. Don't be surprised if when them come off of any sorts of operation, the JCF officer them fling it in a sea, fling it down a Wagwater River, come up with all sorts of excuse. You know, say, me did forget to turn it on, I forget to turn it off, rate, lele. Just a bunch of criminals. Good po-po, most of them, but a whole lot of bad po-po in the JCF. The sad thing is that one of those youth that lost his life, I told you about the mother, Mrs. Morgan, speaking about her son, finally getting some sorts of justice, hopefully. The next one, Abando Campbell. He was scheduled to leave Jamaica very soon. His family overseas had filed for him, and his paperwork had just recently come back. He was just waiting for a date and then he was going to exit Jamaica. That will no longer happen based on you know what. Based on the fact that he was taken out unjustly by members of the JCF who are definitely covering it up, point blank and period. So anyways, people, thanks once again for checking out my video. If you appreciate videos like these, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. And last but not least, please subscribe to my next two channels. They are called Jamaica Dancehall Source and also Crime Time News JA. I'll be pinning the link to those channels in the description of this video. Bless up.